everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rutten, editor-in-chief.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, the Terrestrialize editor.
The Oh, that's the Pokemon thing, right?
That's the stupid Pokemon thing.
I didn't want to just be the Pokemon
Pokemon?
editor, and it was a big week for news.
Announced last week that these two were dead and no longer on here. But why? So why are they back, Scrappy?
Well,
because
now
I sent a DM.
Oh.
You challenged. You guys said
that's true.
If you have a problem with that, send a message. So I sent a message.
We were going to do anything about it.
But Rut didn't. So we know Rut didn't look for the last week's episode.
Don't ever allow Stretch to do offer up a very cheeky thing for Stretch to do, because he will immediately do it.
So Rutledge is kicked off is what we've decided.
Yep.
All right.
No, they're both back because we have two versions of the podcast you can download, much like Pokemon. We're going to have TechRaptor Podcast Rut and TechRaptor Podcast Stretch. Oh. And we're only going to get certain bits of dialogue from them and exclusives in each podcast. You have to like trade the right words to get the full experience to complete the national.
I know.
Is it just me rambling about Hunt Showdown?
That's it. It's going to be Hunt. That's all you talk about.
Play.
I've spliced all of the times you previously talk about Hunt to create a cohesive audio experience.
It's just Hunt, and then it's just Stretch talking about whatever's new on Game Pass that he's played, because he's played. I mean,
there's always something new. There's always something to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Microsoft, every month.
Please send me that money.
Yeah, Phil, the checks have stopped coming in, and we're just waiting. We're waiting to see.
We're one letter away, man.
This week we're going to talk about Xenoblade 3. We're going to talk about World of Talesworth, and also recap an interesting kind of interview preview we did at PAX to check out this musical role-playing game that's not quite an RPG, but something like it. But first, let's get into some news. Double check all of your GameStop chats, because they might be seen by Zendesk, because GameStop allegedly is wiretapping all of their chats without asking for the user's consent and selling that data off to a third party called Zendesk.
Sweet.
How much do you think a lot of those chats are people who are quoting shit like "to the moon" and just bothering support stuff?
Diamond hands.
Yeah. Good old GME, right?
That's right.
Yup.
Oh man, that was a fun couple of weeks.
Weeks. It's still hard to go.
It's still a thing, but the early weeks were just
I
absolutely
made
bonkers.
A decent amount of money off it, if I'm not gonna lie.
Rut's over here investing in Sheeb coin while you're like,
listen, I still have like 6 million. It's probably worth like 10 cents by now, but
isn't it cool to own like 6 million of something though? Yeah. That's the cool part.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason I paid like $15 for it. So.
Yeah, that's right. You own Tencent now. That's pretty good, if you ask me.
Yeah. So this is what he does.
Embracer owns me.
This is what he does with all that money he embezzles, guys. How disappointing is that? He doesn't even cool stuff. He embezzles money from here and is buying fucking meme.
Yeah, y'all think our money's in the bank? No, it's in the blockchain.
It's all tied up in Dogecoin,
yeah.
Sheeb coin.
TechRaptor owns about 3.7 billion Sheeb.
Oh man,
I have no idea what that comes out to.
Grand total of $2.
If this is in a court proceeding, first off, hello, hi jury, it's us.
Second off, this is a complete joke.
No.
I'm actually okay at money.
I see the second books. You guys see the ones he puts out.
The cooked ones. You
That's
see
right.
it pre-cooked. Here's one I prepared earlier.
But with GameStop being hit by this, it's part of the they are allegedly violating that California Invasion of Privacy Act, which is where this is coming from. And I don't know, I guess I'm having trouble with imagining how many people's privacy are being violated. Like, violating privacy isn't a good thing for sure, but like, is this just one or two people that we're talking about here?
It's interesting because,
right?
I mean, Zendesk is essentially a ticketing software. So it's when you send anything to GameStop, it's going through that, no different than, maybe your work help desk. So, and as far as I know, typically when you're contracting with these service desk companies, like that's your data. So like you would have to willfully enable the ability for that data to be harvested. Because I mean, with all of those platforms, that data is supposed to be secure. Sometimes you're sharing passwords, especially if it's an IT based service desk. So I find it very strange, but also not surprisingly, because they've got to pay for those fucking NFTs.
Right. Yeah, they gotta pay for those the falling man NFTs of the astronaut in space, and not a reference to anything else.
Yeah.
It's one more thing in a long track record of not only like employee abuse, but also just mismanagement. And
like all their
zero forward
stores,
thinking. Yeah,
like closing. Yeah. Like I kind of like, I'm not going to pretend I understand the stock market even a little bit, but the fact that GME goes off and GameStop, the actual company, is like bad headline after bad headline, I do not understand how that works, other than I guess diamond hands is stronger than you think. I don't know.
The stock market and company profitability aren't really a one-to-one correlation.
Nope.
I mean, that's kind of I shouldn't say the beauty of the stock market. The ability of the stock market to be manipulated by groups of people is not particularly difficult if there's enough people at it. So like what happened with GME had zero reason for it being based on the company's valuation. It was just a shit ton of people.
Stocks are like
going crazy.
This is what the public perception and the public's willingness to invest in the perception of a company is. It doesn't mean that the company's doing well.
Correct.
We could get all
if earnings are good, stocks typically go up. If earnings are bad, they typically go down. There's other factors, but like at the end of the day, GameStop did not deserve the stock price that they had.
No.
And they could have done a better job leaning on it. I mean, there were ways they could have taken advantage of it that they didn't, and now they are where they are.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? It's all about perceived value, right? Which is a ridiculous way to run a multi-billion-dollar
That's
entity.
how all money is, though. All money is perceived value.
All money is fake. I agree. Yeah, but with GameStop, it's like their perceived value is kind of shit to me.
Listen,
and I imagine a
the
lot
Raptor
of people.
bucks that I pay you are worth a lot of money.
Hey, where else are you going to go on a Thursday night to pick up a Pop Funko, a new gaming keyboard, and a discount T-shirt? Come on.
Target.
Well, don't forget about those like sweet $6 Kingdom Hearts wallets or whatever.
Wait,
just
they have
at the counter.
Okay, hold it.
Stretch
hold
and
it.
Bye,
Stretch.
They have, bye guys. I'm off.
He didn't realize he's been joking around this whole time. They sell Kingdom Hearts stuff there, buddy.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah,
So with this
my life
customer
savings.
service stuff, I'm like, I don't know. It's hard for me to give a fuck, to be honest with you. Like, I'm all for like any invasion of privacy, bad. I'm all on that side.
But
I don't know. I'm like, hey, why did this order not get here fast enough? Oh, they leaked that chat. Fuck.
yeah,
Like, I don't know.
Unless like there's people saying just really like racist shit.
Well, then don't say that
is,
to have it be leaked.
In today's day and world is an absolute possibility. I've listened to and seen some pretty absurd conversations before.
Weird thing is, a lot of those people would be very proud of that racism getting out there in this day and age.
like, have you seen Twitter?
They memed us all.
That's the worst part of it all.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from, Otten. It's like, what's the worst thing that you could really leak through chats with GameStop customer service people? But it's also like if that's the violation of privacy that we're okay with, then where does it end, right?
Yeah.
I haven't dug super deep.
This is how it's actually accessing these leaked files is how I figured out that Otten pre-ordered the Ultimate Deluxe Edition of Super Seducer 3. He's gonna get.
Was there one of those exist?
Game on.
You would know.
It comes with an inflatable girlfriend to try on.
I'm not like opposed to the idea of pre-ordering this. So if it exists,
The ultimate controversy is if he pre-ordered like the super deluxe edition of Elex 2. That would be the
that
scandal.
would be the real
Actually, that'd
scandal.
be huge
Yeah.
scandal.
It would be.
Yeah.
As we
drama.
come into it, Dateline, we've got a ribbon down the bottom, the shocking truth about the GameStop wiretap.
Also, I guess with this like customer service thing, like, do I own that information anyway? If I'm on their service, talking to their rep, who is the? I don't know.
I guess it would have to
Your
come
terms
down
of
to,
service, like you'd have to
are
go
you
deep into
passing
those terms
on-
of service.
Also, are you
curious.
passing on your address, the last 4 digits of your card, any other
Yeah.
verification of your identity, stuff like that is like the very obvious
That's a big
personal
problem,
info. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they said much about exactly what data was leaked.
Right.
I think if they had, it would either be a nothing burger or it would be a much bigger problem. If it's just like email addresses and names, that's standard for most organizations. I hate to say it, but it's the digital age. Your email and your information is just out there. And dear advertising companies, please stop emailing my day job. For the love of God. But if it again is credit card information, home address, that kind of stuff, that's almost a deep violation of privacy, because having random marketing companies with your home address means you're going to get more sell your home and all that kind of
Scam mail,
stuff.
Yeah, that's always the trouble with being in a digital age, right? And we can see more of that in Cyberpunk 2077, where the digital age becomes the reality. And there's some more Cyberpunk news, of course, in the world. Last week we talked about the Cyberpunk anime, which actually comes out, I think, the day this podcast goes live, if not the day after.
Day after.
Yeah,
Comes
so
out
that's
The benefit of the Cyberpunk world, though, is that as soon as the solicitor begins to approach you, you
shoot
can
'em.
remove your pants and T-pose on your motorcycle off into the distance, just letting your balls flap in the wind.
for dominance.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
yeah, well,
You're
I
not missing.
understand all that except the taking the pants off part. What's the?
You didn't see any of the random pantslessness that was occurring when
I don't know.
it first launched.
I mean, whenever I T-pose, my pants just fly off. Usually, it just kind of comes
they
with the
just
territory.
explode off of you.
Exactly, kind of like those pull-off pants, but like nature does it.
Oh.
So with Cyberpunk, we have some more news to look out for. The expansion, Phantom Liberty, was just announced. It's like a spy thriller sort of thing, and
You're James Bond now.
Yeah, you're Cyberpunk James Bond. V joins some sort of government entity to like
Who's V?
the main character.
Oh, the Cyberpunk Goku guy.
Cyberpunk Goku, that's right. Yeah, V joins the new United States of America, or faithfully serves it in a way, where you have to defend liberty from something. That's kind of.
And I also just let it fall apart.
I mean, maybe.
I
I mean,
think that's probably
Could
the
that be
point.
the alternate?
You're infiltrating to bring it down.
mm,
You don't
That's
believe
what's
that.
happening.
yep.
I've
mean, this-
I've played the expansion. I can tell you.
You can confirm.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah, this expansion is slated for some time in 2023, and for now we do have that 1.6 patch for Cyberpunk 2077, which will allegedly be the last patch for last gen consoles for the game.
Oh no.
So do we think that Phantom Liberty is going to be Cyberpunk's like No Man's Sky moment? Like, is this where
Nope.
the game's going to get nope. Well then, I guess that's been answered. We can
No,
move on. No discussion necessary.
They've said that this is the only expansion. I think it's like, well, it was already in the works. Let's shit this out so we can move on to the Witcher game.
Mm,
As Cyberpunk 2077, in terms of the public image of what it could have been and what they were kind of portraying it to be, is unsalvageable. They're not going to be able to salvage it. They can't get to that point of what they were showing.
I think it would take a lot of work.
Yeah, it'd basically be redesign a whole new game.
mhm.
So they're just gonna. We got what we got. You're gonna get more stuff to do in it, and that's it. Like,
Yeah,
As long as they don't remove Pan Am, it's still good to me.
of course. Yeah. And I think too, if you look at where Cyberpunk was like in its pre-release hype, the 8 years of hype before it came out, I'm willing to bet CDPR didn't think this was a one expansion game for them. You know what I mean?
Not originally, I'm sure.
No.
Also,
but
have you heard me
this is
talk
it.
about multiplayer in a while? Me
Oh,
neither.
yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
Has
So
that been
I think.
modded in yet?
I mean, maybe if the mod can survive and like actually function and be stable. But I think it's interesting for them to say like this is the last, like only expansion, right? Where I bet 2019, who knows how many plans for expansions they had. I would bet at least 2 because Witcher had 2, right? Witcher 3.
Yeah, I'm sure they were planning 2, and I know that, like that multiplayer like game mode was supposed to be like a just full on shooter multiplayer experience.
Right.
And I don't even know if that's ever even going to come. They haven't said anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, Cyberpunk where it's at now is fine. It's not what they build it to be at all. And the whole what they pulled with the last gen consoles is a bunch of horse shit that is awful. And they should always be reminded about how awful that was. But I mean, they're fine. I'm looking forward to the expansion. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
I think when they have a more contained, smaller story, it does better. Like I think both the expansions for Witcher were better stories than the main story in the main game.
Yeah, and I think the main story of Cyberpunk is also not their best work to me.
It's
it was
okay.
a little meh.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, but I think when you have the spy thriller as your baseline and everyone can hack everyone, and some of the part of the premise is V joins this entity and Keanu Reeves in his brain is like, no, don't, that's bad.
Yeah, I like that.
Creates interesting drama, right?
Whenever Johnny's like, you fucking idiot, that's the best part. You moron, what are you doing?
I am curious like how they convinced Keanu Reeves to continue. Or maybe it's like part of the contract that he initially
maybe it
signed.
was part of that, but I think he probably enjoyed it.
You think so?
Because I remember him talking about. I feel like he was talking to Phil Spencer before he walked out on that stage at E3, and he was like, "He's like, I don't think you understand what's going to happen. Like this is big." He's like, "Yeah, I've been on stage before. Whatever, it's not a big thing." And then he's like, "No, it absolutely blew him away. Like he was surprised at how big of a deal it was." So I think something like that could have left a lot of pressure on him if they had to convince him. I don't think it would have been that hard. So I do think he liked doing it based on, I mean, obviously he's not going to be shitting on the thing he's in publicly.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be genuine about what he was saying about enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he did give it a lot, right? Like, it's not like Giancarlo Esposito, who was like on the cover of everything for Far Cry 6 and wasn't really in the game despite being
Johnny talks all the time.
Yeah, Johnny is like arguably the main character in a way, Yeah. So Phantom Liberty coming to a Cyberpunk near you in 2023.
And speaking of games that had some troubled development, Callisto Protocol has had a fair amount of crunch.
Indeed, it has.
Has it?
And everyone here is happy about that, right? Celebrating it, hopping to Twitter.
Yeah, that was
good.
like,
No, it's good that everyone in the team is so dedicated and they can spend all of their time. It's really good of them.
you do it because you love it.
Yeah, you do it for the love of the game.
There's a. Oh, God,
So to
it's such a
clarify,
difficult
for anyone who
topic.
doesn't know, the CEO of the Callisto Protocol studio tweeted out, I think it was like the second day of PAX. He said, "I only talk about the game during an event. We are working 6 to 7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working. Budges, glitches, per fixes. One last pass through audio. 12 to 15 hour days. This is gaming, hard work, lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it."
This is gaming.
Like, and he got roasted for like 4 straight days, deservedly.
Yeah, like lambasted completely. And didn't he double down on it too? It was kind of like, no, this is how it is, or something along those lines.
He did. He was like, well, everybody knows how passionate we are. You know, he said, "We value passion and creativity, not long hours. I'm sorry to the team for coming across like this, but I think Bloomberg, Jason Schreier dropped something this week where he talked with the employees who were like, yeah, it's brutal. It's not fun. Anonymously, obviously, but like, it's this trend that I think journalists are tired of internally, game developers are tired of internally, and even I think gamers are starting to be like, okay, games that crunch, not necessarily good. Like, everybody's kind of come to this thing that's like, take the time you need to make a good game. Don't just force it out, which again, Cyberpunk 2077, had they given it another year, I think they would have had a completely different reaction.
I could see that. I think because then it wouldn't be as broken, possibly, right?
Well, and they probably could have had some of the features that they promised in a little bit more fleshed out rather than just there but useless. Looking at the police aspect,
right?
They chase you, and that's it.
I mean, I think where Callisto Protocol has like that rock and a hard place thing, right, is that they have a pretty hard deadline of Dead Space remake comes out in January, right? Like if Cyberpunk had like if Grand Theft Auto Neon City was coming out like the month after Cyberpunk's projected release date, they probably haven't even like, that's the hard deadline. You know what I mean? Because we have to come out before Grand Theft Auto, right?
But I mean, to me, like the two can stand separate. And I think that that's sometimes where the industry just doesn't click. Like games can stand separate, just space them out. Don't, don't put two huge releases up next to each other and they're not going to compete as hard, because you can't expect a gamer to spend $120 in 1 week on two separate games and not divide attention. I think most of us for single player games, we buy that, we play through it, then we move on to the next thing.
Right. Even beyond that, it's like a time investment too, right? Like you're not going to play Cyberpunk and another game in 1 week. You know, like,
it's not going to happen. Yeah. And I think that mindset needs to change. Like we have to release before this game. Like Dead Space, probably going to be good. Callisto Protocol, probably going to be good. But they're two different stories, two different sets of mechanics. Why try and compete? Like just do what you need to do to get the game out in a state that makes it be remembered well.
Right. There's only one example I can think of where it's not just recommended, but arguably required to buy two games on the same day. And that's when Pokemon comes out.
Bravo. No, bravo. That was excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's it, right? Not Crimson. And because I said Crimson the last time we talked about Pokemon on this podcast. Scarlet and Violet had more trailer info dropped last week where we got some more story.
The third Red game. Why can't they get more creative?
Yeah, Pokemon Red again and Violet.
We got Red. Well, we got Red, Ruby, whatever this fucker's
Fire
called.
Red.
Scarlet.
Crimson or Scarlet and Fire Red.
I mean, we had Fire Red. We had Red.
Yeah. What's up with that? Scrappy, I need you for the Pokemon Company. What the fuck? What's happening?
I couldn't tell you, but here's what I'm actually curious. I want to throw the ball here to Otten. There are going to be three pillars of the story. There are three pillars that they talked about in the trailer. Can you please?
I didn't watch the trailer.
Well, yeah, just let us know. What do you know? You're a big Pokemon fan. What are the three pillars of
we
Pokemon
established one beforehand about there's a bad organization doing bad stuff. And
which organization is that again?
I don't know. The
team
fucking something to do with Scarlet Blood.
Yep, that's it.
It's actually, it's weirdly, it is team fucking something to do with Scarlet.
Team Sanguine or something like that. Sanguinar, some bullshit. Some other red.
Wait, so they're after kids' blood? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know.
We harvest the children's blood.
There's some euphemism.
They'll
for
use
blood.
Zubat and Woobat and like the leech seed Pokemon.
Yeah. So it's gonna be that, and I get Pokemon to stop them, and then there's gonna be some storyline about the fucking legendary. They're mysterious or they're doing some bullshit.
Sure,
and I know the third one. I don't know. I haven't played a Pokemon in a while. It's like they'll do something about the world of Pokemon, and like there's
Mhm.
something going on.
Yeah, I can't
some
wait.
weird bullshit.
I can't wait for Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty to do something about the world of Cyberpunk as well.
Yeah.
That'll be
Well, I
fun.
mean, they're gonna talk about like, oh, we're gonna make a commentary about the relationship of Pokemon and people or something.
Mhm.
There you go. Those are your 3 story threads.
You were close. So yeah, there is the one. Team Star is
Team
the
Star?
their Team Rocket, right?
Okay.
And then there's your traditional Pokemon gym battling experience.
Oh, I wasn't including that as a story thing, but yes, I knew the gyms are part of it.
And then there is something concerning the Herba Mystica. So we're gonna get some dank sweet herb
Oh,
in
sweet.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Badass.
It's going to be like the Shokugeki no Soma portion of your Pokemon adventure. And
Mhm.
if you're interested in watching a fantastic anime, Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma, fuck yeah.
How's the
Yeah.
Goku in that one?
He's cooked Goku.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
I would stop
Goku.
after season 2 though, or so. There's a point where it gets kind of bad.
Yeah,
At
I'll
least-
agree with that.
yeah.
There's a point that it gets very anime, I will say.
Yeah.
I won't say it's good or bad. It's very anime.
Mhm.
When they're having cooking battles on a running train through a winter tundra on their way to the next level of the cooking championship, gets very anime.
This replace Cooking Championship with Pokemon Championship, and you just described Pokemon.
There was a battle train in Pokemon
Yes.
Gen 5 as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Pokemon is just that.
Yeah. So Stretch, as our resident Pokemon fan, how you feeling about this new trailer, this new info?
I think a lot of the stuff was known to a certain extent. There was a whole bunch of like smaller features that they went into that were a bit of a question mark, like a mode where you just like let your Pokemon go and they just like go out and adventure and battle, like auto battle on their
Mhm.
own, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, just send the Wurmple
You know-
out to die.
Yeah.
Bastard.
The new team, I've been kind of disappointed in the teams in the last couple of Pokemon games, that they've gone from being like large scale organized crime syndicates bent on world domination, and they've got like a master plan and a big department building that they are secretly in charge of, and this and that. And then the last couple of games have just been like, Hood Rats, and the most recent one with Sword and Shield were just like soccer hooligans.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is just like, oh, they're the bad kids of the school that have their own compound and a giant Pokemon powered car for some reason.
In the originals, you were
Wait.
fighting a fucking mob boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
way better.
Pokemon powered car, like what, pulled by Rapidashes? Like,
No, that's you can it. So it wasn't part of the like actually what was announced during the direct, but the engine that's in that large car is a Pokemon.
Fantastic.
The engine itself, it's like
Is that the
a
one that's the
metal.
wheel?
No, it's like a metal spider thing. It's going to be a poison steel type, according to leaks.
mm,
All right,
they
Pokemon's
like-
just getting ridiculous.
They do like a couple quick pans past it in the trailer, and then they released like 3 bits of promotional art. And in one of the bits of promotional art, the car is behind like the 2 main characters, and it's got a big old tongue hanging out of the top of it. It's like, okay, it's
Nice.
Pokemon. We know it's a Pokemon.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, they've retooled alphas into Titan Pokemon. I'm still very interested to see how they do open world. It seems like they're doing another thing of taking a whole bunch of big steps forward and like out of their comfort zone. Not 100% sure that they're going to land with a lot of them. We know that you can complete any gym in any order, but also there's no scaling. So you might be able to like accidentally like go somewhere high enough level, catch a powerful Pokemon, and then come back and just like wipe the 3rd gym before you even take on the 1st.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see how they do that.
Lame.
But
I don't know,
think
I'm
that,
all for the flat design. You know, it's a little more like that same feeling of Breath of the Wild, where you can run, like, go where you want. We're not going to hold your hand
But
anymore.
that has
right?
scaling to it.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean, it's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect.
That's true.
Wait,
Yeah.
you mean you're telling me that Game Freak is making really questionable design decisions with their game?
Not really questionable.
Out of character.
No. That's not what I said. I think Game Freak is making the logical steps. They've said we're now, far enough with what we're doing. Let's make Pokemon more open world. But then it's how they choose to interpret those logical steps.
Yes, the questionable part that I brought up.
Yeah, the steps are sound. The features are sound. How they're interpreting those steps is weird
in a stupid way.
Yeah, sure.
Potentially, we'll see.
Most likely,
Yeah.
They only know how to make one game.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, they made 2, Scarlet and Violet.
That's true. They know how to make 2 games every time. Every entry, it's always 2. I don't know. I think this Pokemon game is falling into. I think what I've been doing a lot with recent Pokemon games is every time one comes out, like a mainline one does, I'm like, maybe this is the one that'll get me back on the train.
You fool.
It's like me in Souls games.
You're except for the trap.
Like, I'm actually good at Souls games, so I can buy them and be fine. But so maybe, I mean, if I buy one, it's going to be Violet. Like, there's no world where I would buy the red one. But
why?
Maybe,
what's wrong with red?
I just like purple a lot more.
You literally have a red coat on your fucking chair right now.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had a purple
color,
one,
how dare you have any item of clothing in that color?
Well, it's just like, I hate red. And then there's a big fucking red thing.
It's not that I hate red. I just like purple way more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any purple behind you anywhere. It's a lie.
Fair.
It's a lie.
Otten suffers from object permanence too, so
sorry, once you take
he's
it
not
away,
going to be able to deal with this for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think that's where it's going to land for me with this game. But I'm also thinking, okay, it's coming out because the week before we have Sonic and God of War. So I'm like, am I going to still be going through
pick
those?
up Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
I'm 100% picking up Sonic Frontiers. Yeah.
Cannot wait to hear about that.
Same.
I feel like I could tell you about it now, and I'd be right.
I'm probably, yeah.
It's gonna be bad. Team Sonic made it, so it's gonna be bad. Or Sonic Team. I'm sorry.
Not Team Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic Team has not made a good game ever.
They lifted
Tetris.
their head from smoking way too much cocaine, and they said,
"Smoking?
We're going to make it really large, really plain."
Oh, that's fucking
smoking
wild.
that cocaine.
Yep, that's how they got. That's how they got there.
Coca leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So let's shift over to talk about something else that we saw at PAX over last weekend. And you and I checked out Stray Gods. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, it was a extremely early look at it. Like, what we saw is definitely not what it's going to be when it's out, because it's probably at least 2 years at minimum away. So it's a very early look at it, but they call it a role-playing musical. It's not really an RPG. We didn't get to see it, but there is a part where I guess you would be walking around talking with people. It definitely feels like more adventure gamey, and that you get to these big story moments or other things where a song breaks out and you get to influence the song. And there were 3 pathways for the main character. One was, I forgot what the names are. One was like a rock thing where it was like, I'm a badass lady.
Yeah, there's like badass, charming,
which was like
smart,
a jazzy one, and then clever, right? Which was, one of them was like, I can't remember what the different styles of music. I know one was rock, one was a jazzy thing, and I can't remember the third. I have the notes written down, but of course,
like
why would I be prepared and have them with me?
Right,
they're somewhere else. Anyway, so the premise of the story is you play a lady who somehow meets one of the last muses and absorbs her power. I don't really know exactly how that happens, to where she's really good at music, etc. and the Greek gods still exist and are alive in the world. And they're like, you fucking, how'd you get her powers? You murdered that lady. What the fuck? And so all of them are mad at you, and you have to try to convince them that you did not murder her.
With the power of song.
That's right, with the power of song.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were getting into was like over the course, like when you start the game, it seems like you pick like what your main flavor of those three, the charming, the badass, or the clever kind of thing. Would be like kind of the main sound and the main way your character kind of interacts with stuff seemingly, and it gives you certain dialogue options because of that path that you chose, but then it also influences the music. And as you're going through the music, you have those three pathways show up again as three ways you can take the song, which changes both the lyrics and like the melody of the song to based on that kind of thing, based on the pathway that you chose. So like you could make it more rock sounding if you went that way on it or whatever. And it was interesting to listen to, was it David Gator? Oh God, we should have looked it up before this. David Gator, David Gator. It's one of the two.
I'm loving how prepared you are for this entire segment.
I didn't look up how to. Yeah,
There's
he
a
wrote
game about a thing
Dragon
where you
Age and
have
stuff.
powers. I don't remember one of the powers. And
well, one of the things he was talking about, hey, I'm just powering through, not letting you trample on me. The one of the interesting things he was talking about said that they were, because nobody's really made a game like this, they realized just it got a lot bigger a lot quicker than he thought it would. Like the team's gotten originally what he said was like 8 people, and now it's up to like 40, and they were not planning on doing that at all, like making a big game. But because it was like, so for like one song you have to basically have what, like 9 different versions of it, because based on how many choices in the song that you have and where you take the music, and it's got to flow together correctly. So like if you go the rock jazz other thing, that's a whole different version than doing rock, or like the jazz rock, like that changes the song a lot. So they have like a bunch of different versions of this song at once. And Austin Wintory is doing the music along with what's that Australian place? Tripod and then Montaigne,
who was in Eurovision.
Yeah. Are all helping with the music. I think he said that there's like 4 something hours of music that they've done.
4.5 hours, but throughout a playthrough, you're probably going to see like 1.5 hours of the music, maybe. Because
they have to write so much for one song based on what players will do. So that's interesting.
Yeah, like as a musical, it's just interesting to see that they've taken a lot of ideas from what you would imagine from like a Broadway type of musical, but then by giving you agency over everything, it's like the songs, like it's not just the lyrics that change, but literally the music itself, right? So it's a really interesting experiment from a musical perspective. Like how do you build so many different musical phrases that still fit together and then can come together at the end? And I remember asking about like, okay, so if you know your musicals, like there's always something at the end of the first act that comes back in the second act, like a musically speaking, right? Like a phrase or a leitmotif that comes back. And I imagine that's really hard to line up in a game. And Dave was like, yep, we are definitely accounting for that, which is, it'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out in the full product, right?
And like he was saying, like one of the, depending on a choice you make, that would be like the callback phrase that would come back later. So it could be entirely different for somebody else and how it works into the story. And I just think that's very cool how it's working, because it's an interesting way of like doing story through music and having these choices. I don't know. It just feels like it has more impact than if, let's say, I was just talking with someone, dialogue, and then they just mentioned something I said before that feels less impressive for some reason, even though it's kind of the same. Other than I know you've written music to go with it. But it's a really neat idea for a game. Yeah. And I like that he said too that it was, I don't think he said it started as a joke, but he was always wanted to make some kind of musical game. And he said back when he was at BioWare, that was what he would threaten his bosses with. Like, I'm gonna make a musical and put this in Dragon Age or whatever. They're like, please don't do that. That's a lot of work. And he's like, I'll do it, I swear.
And here he is now.
And then he left BioWare and he's like, oh yeah, I can do that now. I'm just gonna do it.
So, psych.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think if this game goes really well, that someone in BioWare is going to be like, fuck?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to see a BioWare-fied version of this.
Maybe they'll implement a musical in the next Mass Effect game.
That's right.
Mhm.
Only if they bring Garrus back.
Right. I mean, I guess they did have a musical number in Mass Effect 2, was it? With the Solarian. I am a very model of a scientist Solarian. That whole thing? You guys know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember that, but I
don't remember that.
Morden Solus? Yeah, he does a whole little musical number. I mean, it's just
What?
he performs one little song.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to follow.
Maybe it was that
And it's
guy.
easy enough when you can just parody another,
Well,
like
yeah.
another well-known
Yeah.
song.
Right.
True.
It's not, original, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what Gat Out of Hell, that had great musical numbers in it.
And unfortunately, they squandered that opportunity in the newest
Yeah.
Saints Row.
So yeah, the new Saints Row is real good, I hear.
Mhm. But that's Stray Gods. I don't think we have a release date on the horizon or anything.
No,
It's still
I would assume
very
at least
early, yeah.
years. Yeah, although he said that they were just finishing recording the instrumentals, so like the music is basically finalized. Sounds like you're
Mhm.
close to it, and but yeah, it seemed like a lot of the stuff we saw in game was pretty early.
Yeah,
So it's still probably ways off.
for sure. Rut, you've been playing World of Talesworth, which is an idle MMO? Question mark.
Yes. So Otten has ruined me by introducing me to Kitten's game, and so
Right.
now I've been trying other idle games because
been
it's
chasing
nice
the
to just
dragon.
have something in the background.
Right.
And this came out a couple weeks ago. I didn't know anything about it before it came out, but it's basically World of Warcraft. For the most part,
Oh.
like it's got a lot of like MMO elements, but it's all single player, so it's not like truly MMO. But it takes like aspects of MMOs and either makes fun of them or kind of incorporates elements. But basically, you've got 10 characters. You have to level up kind of each one, and then as you add each one to the party, it increases the speed at which you quest experience. Each class has like bonuses. So rogues, you get a certain percentage of gold based on your class score, and you can equip equipment that gives you extra experience, extra quest speed, gold, that kind of stuff. And then you can just prestige over and over and over again. With each prestige, your characters get like higher skill level, so their class-based bonuses are higher. And then you can download mods. But, and this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. The entire game's meta for the most part. So you start playing, you're just in the game and you're leveling a character. When you hit level 27, then you can actually become the player. And then eventually you do something very specific, and you find out that you are in a VR headset playing a player that is playing the game. And that happens after your first prestige. And then you start earning research points that you can use in VR to make your character more powerful, get more monitors so that you can multi-box. So right now I have 6 monitors. So I have 1 active character, and then I have 5 additional characters.
Like 5 Smurfs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So it's literal multi-boxing. So you like unlock more monitors over time. Apparently you can get up to 10 monitors, and then you can just take your entire group into raiding, which is also a thing. So you've got like active gear, you've got party gear that gives bonuses while you're leveling, then you've got raid gear that influences the raid. And the raids are fucking hard. So like you take your characters in, and then they fight the trash, so it takes you a little bit of time to get to the boss. And then the boss, you have to heal, you have to block as the tank, and then you have to move characters out of attacks. But it's pretty hard even with higher level characters or higher skill level characters and all that kind of stuff. But it's mostly mindless, just like, all right, I'm going to move you to the next zone. And then eventually, at least from what I can tell, it just goes on rails. So as you prestige, you get the research points that you can then use to spend on, like, when I finish leveling a character, automatically log into my level 1 priest and start leveling. And then there's additional flags that are like automatically move me from zone to zone. So then eventually you just like log into a character, it goes through all of them, you prestige, and you do it again, and just continually gets faster. And I think I've prestige 4 times. I've put 240 hours in, and then I just hit a whole new mechanic.
Wait, you are
Jesus.
240 hours into this game?
Well,
That's
it's an idle game. So
That's 10, yeah.
It's an idle game, yeah. And I
mean, that's still a lot of time.
It takes like 30 megs of RAM. So it's like
Oh,
I
so
can literally have it running while I'm playing other games.
Is it running right now?
Yes.
I figured.
what is the actual gameplay? Is it just the standard idle, like you click on things to upgrade like their stats, or you kept describing different stuff in the raids? Would you actually do anything?
You basically just go zone to zone leveling. You also gather crafting materials so you can level up your crafting. When you max out crafting of one skill, you get a permanent 5% quest speed bonus. So there's like incentives to doing things. And then you find gear that can either be equipped on your active character that increases your speed, or you can equip them as party, which then while you're leveling another character, if that character's in the party, those bonuses apply. And there's like a taco shop, and also there's a boatload of mechanics. Like I first started and I was like, oh, this seems simple. I was like, oh, this is getting more complex. Oh, there's another feature. And there's some like hidden things in there. Like if you 10 box a raid, I think the achievement is called Method Would Be Proud, which Method is one of the top raiding guilds in the world. And just a lot of just like really meta MMO focused like jokes and things like that are in it. So people who've played a lot of World of Warcraft like myself will understand like, oh, I know what that's referencing, or that type of stuff.
And you're burying the lead somewhat. It's a free to play game.
Oh yeah, it's completely free. You can pay. Like I threw $10 at it just because generally if I enjoy a free to play game,
Because
I'm
you
like,
put 240 hours in.
well, it's like if I enjoy a game, like here's a little bit of money, thank you,
Yeah.
continue supporting it. And I did that to like buy and upgrade to some of the classes, just to, because you'll have a guild too, and then that influences
it's a pay to
all
win
sorts
game.
of other
I see.
stats.
Pay to win.
I mean, it
Game's
can
still
be
on
like
top.
you can buy. So you buy tacos, which not only can you earn just passively, but you can buy them and then use that to buy like I don't know, quest speed increases. Then there's like you can buy gold boost, work boost.
What
XP
I love is
boost,
you're
all sorts
looking
of
through the game right now to tell us this, aren't you?
Yeah, it's on my other monitor. So
It's on one of your other
my
7
character's
monitors.
I've almost maxed another character. I'm almost ready to start the next one.
This is the weird part. Rut actually has 9 separate instances of the game running right now. Like
It's crazy.
he himself is a digital person. He's going to remove his own VR headset, and then there's going to be a spinning top that just like remains spinning on his desk.
I get that reference.
Yeah, and is he free or not? Find out in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty.
How many boars did you have to kill to get max level? It's all about killing boars, right?
It is, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I think there is one section. I don't even like pay attention anymore. I just like click a couple things and then go off and do something else. There is like a wooded section that I think has boars.
And you say you have trouble with Souls likes?
Yes.
Well,
It's a patience thing for me. Why dodge when I can just keep hitting the ball?
okay, but hold on. Idle games are literally like there is a numerical ass timer.
Yeah, it's
on
waiting
stuff
the
you have
game.
to wait for. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's just my characters are just auto leveling, and I'll check it in 10 minutes.
So if Dark Souls had like this boss's attack animation will last 4 seconds, that would be better for you.
Probably figure that out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
If I have to
surprised.
do research on how to beat the boss, like fuck
this
that,
makes
bro.
sense now. This all is coming together. You're bringing WoW. So like one of the things you always download for WoW was raid mods that would show you the cooldowns and various stuff of the boss, and he just needs that for Dark Souls.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
Also, if anybody's
probably
listening
mods.
to this and that exists for Elden Ring, please send it to me. I really feel bad
Wait,
that I
there's-
wasted $60.
I know for Sekiro there were slowdown mods that they just like have the bosses move at 50% speed.
You might actually be able to beat them then.
Yeah, they probably have something similar for Elden Ring, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
that's
they probably
what
call it like
same,
easy
same
mode.
engine.
they call it Elexifying it or something. The Elexification of a game.
No, that's just bullet sponges. That's easy.
So I think I am going to talk about Xenoblade for the last time on this pod because I am officially
He
Done
loved
with
it. He
Xenoblade.
completed
6 months
it.
from now, he'll be back
I-
on it.
He's
No,
done
I
with it and beat
refuse.
it and loved it.
No, because it is a lot like an MMO to me in the worst ways. It is so like I am so done with the game. I think there's very little I want to keep seeing and playing and enjoying with it. That I am 62 hours, I think, and I'm done. I am officially over Xenoblade. I just don't think I could do it anymore.
So what was the final straw?
You didn't
Yeah.
reach the ending? You didn't bawl your eyes out?
No,
Well,
he
so-
just watched Donkey's video and he knows what happens.
I did, yeah. So like part of the reason I wanted to keep going is that one of our writers, Austin, he was on the podcast last week, kept saying, "Oh, there's get to chapter 5. There's some really good stuff in chapter 5." So I was like, okay.
80 hours
Chapter
later.
4 was taking like 10 hours. So I'm like, chapter 5 better fucking be here. And he explained it was like a character related thing, and it hit me. If one of them dies, I could not give a shit. I don't think I would care if anything happened to these characters. So why am I vaguely invested in the possibility of something important happening?
Because
to them?
they care about you, Rob.
Yeah,
That's
fuck
what it's
them.
all about.
No. I really don't care. And after
This
seeing
is so
Donkey's video,
contrary to everything I've seen on my Twitter feed the last couple weeks.
I don't know. Those characters are just so bland and boring and archetypical and just nothing charming about them at all, you know? So
What about
Not
the
their
little
funny
things?
Cockney accents.
The awful accent.
yeah. I mean, there's only one of the main characters who doesn't have a British accent, and it is so like she stands out so much, like in a like a you don't belong here kind of way.
We've got to go and hunt the next monster. Oh yeah, we will. We'll fight them real good. It's
Yeah, we'll
what
get
the
'em
fuck
real
you
good.
say?
Yeah, governor.
Use
are
the
those little
power of
things
the
called?
Monado.
Zoogles?
No,
I can do
Zoogles,
voice
that's a
acting, guys.
different
I can
game.
do.
That's a different,
What
much
are the
better.
Little,
game.
little chancy looking fucks.
Oh, the Nopons.
Yeah, I hate those.
Yeah. Just
I
the
just
concept.
wanted to make sure that was out there that I don't like them. They're
So
annoying.
with all
I'd
of
make
this,
split decisions.
with all of
Hasn't
this
even played the game.
reclaimed free time, Rob, what's next on the block? Maybe you'll
Soul
replay
Hackers
a
2.
Dragon Quest game.
No,
A
Soul Hackers 2. It's not-
Hell yeah.
I was just gonna say Persona again.
So
Oh
I-
man,
I played like an hour of Soul Hackers 2 last night. Man, is that a B tier game? But
sweet.
I'm so
Yeah.
far having more fun
Yeah.
with it.
it is a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
So
I
Go
in
ahead.
my 60 70 hours of playing that game that I delved hard, tried to get as much as possible, level up as much as possible. I watched at least 2 or 3 seasons of Smallville on my second monitor,
Nice.
just
Nice.
mindlessly roaming dungeons. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already at least digging the combat in it more because that.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the thing with Xenoblade is like, if I like the combat more, I could get through to C, but if I didn't like the combat, am not digging the story, kind of hate all of the characters, it is it's a game that could have been beautiful, but it's not. Like there's really very little where I'm like trying to find one thing I say I like in the game, and I just can't. Like even the quest design kind of is very uninspired.
Should we we should get Tyler, who gave it a 9 out of 10, on the podcast next week, or at least have like put the two of you in a chat room together and just like
Maybe.
let it fly.
Duke it out.
Yeah, I mean, because I have
that.
continuously heard that like the story in this game is fantastic, and I just
Sounds like there's not a very strong Goku in this to me.
no.
The Goku's not very good in this one.
It's
Okay.
2 out of 10 Gokus.
Yeah, because like Noah is the main character, and I cannot describe him in any way except for he does what a good guy anime protagonist should. You know, like he wants to help the world. He wants to help people. When there's someone in front of him who's hurting, he wants to save them. And it's like, yeah, that's fine and all, but it's very bland. It's very like I can pick up any anime game and probably find that character in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just Scrappy does not like good people. That's what I took from that.
Yeah, I hate good people.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. It's nice to finally feel free from the game. You know, it's nice to have that burden off.
You were
of me.
shackled by it.
A little, yeah.
I like to think that
Yeah.
TechRaptor podcast has now had like an introductory arc, a Kittens game arc. We've had the Xenoblade arc, and now we've got to wait for the next Hell game to show up, or
What will be
random
next?
fad.
Metal Hell Singer.
No.
Oh yeah,
That comes out.
I'm gonna go
this
so
week.
hard on that this week.
Oh, same.
Never.
Yeah.
So excited.
Can't wait to play that. But yeah, sorry to all the Xenoblade fans out there, all three of you. I just don't think
There's a lot more than that. They're
There,
rapid.
yeah, there are more. Yeah, there are people who were very angry about the spoiler Donkey posted, which
We
is
watched that.
amazing.
I don't. Oh, I guess he posted. That's right. I don't remember seeing anything.
Well, I mean, there is one like thing I think of in that video where it's like, I guess a little spoilery, but then he tweeted something that was,
Good for him, man. Keep it
Yeah.
up, Donkey.
yeah.
Good old
wait,
Donkey.
Did
Just-
you?
He tweeted it out.
Well, Red Stretch, do you know what the spoiler is?
Nah.
I legitimately don't care.
Yeah.
I will
it
not
is-
play Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
I mean, I don't care either, but it is fantastic in how hilarious the spoiler is. So I'm just gonna say it to get the reaction on the stream.
So
If you-
spoiler alert,
yeah.
if you care,
Okay.
leave.
Yeah,
It's-
if you don't want to be spoiled, I mean, we are at the end of the show, so thank you so much for listening. Xenoblade 2 and 3 spoilers incoming. So you know how Xenoblade 2, you collect monster girls like Pokemon and use them as
Yeah.
weapons?
I know that now.
Yeah, I do know that.
It sounds
Yeah.
like Tower of Fantasy.
So the main character fucks a bunch of them and has a bunch of kids with them. That's the spoiler.
What?
Oh wait, no, I have heard
So,
this. So there's like
is he
the,
like
there's the
Genghis
photo of
Khan?
the protagonist, and he's got like the three girls around him, and all of them have children with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yep.
And those were his weapons.
And wives.
Oh man.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Man,
That's good. And
that
I
hurts
thought-
me
note
almost
to
as
end
much
on.
as the TikToks
You
I send
know,
Stretch.
What I keep seeing a lot of is like people on Xenoblade, like the writing's really good. And then I hear shit like this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? The writing's good.
The John Travolta, like,
Yeah, where's the writing?
Yeah.
This sounds like some 12 minutes horse shit. Where's
Yeah.
this?
And if you watch the Donkey video in Xenoblade 3, they get into like, do you know how children are made? And I'm like,
This
I am
dude's an
done
expert,
with
man.
it.
Yeah,
This
I
one
watched a
guy?
video about that in gym class. So
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
so
always,
you
I'm always
impregnated your sword.
I'm always dubious when anime people are like, "This has got good writing," and I'm like, I don't think I agree with you. Probably.
That's
Yeah.
exactly why when I define stuff, it's like it's very anime. It's very JRPG. It's like if you're into it, you know what you're going in for, but otherwise
Yeah.
steer fucking clear.
Yeah. Because it's just to me so tough to have a JRPG that long and have it deliver a good story throughout. You know, like I like Tales of Arise's story. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, it's the next Titanic. You know,
Wait a minute. Is Titanic like the go-to for a good story?
I mean, it was just the first thing my brain pulled.
I'm just like,
you know?
that's a weird, interesting.
I'm holding back. a
A
comment.
good story, Titanic.
Titanic, yes, there's a door. But you know, I think it's hard to sustain a story in a good way for like over 70 hours or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Titanic and that game, I guess, have one thing in common.
Shipwreck.
In both of them, the main character likes women under 25.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
Leonardo DiCaprio joke.
Don't sue us.
please.
I keep
and
seeing that on my feed, and it makes me laugh so hard.
Mm.
Also, thank you everyone on Twitter who's just been cracking jokes for the last 3 days. Like, it has taken me from a mentee B to I'm okay
what?
now.
A what?
Mental breakdown. Mentee B.
Minty B?
Minty B. Okay.
Yeah, what fucking Zoomer bullshit is that?
That is straight zero
Minty
bullshit,
B,
though.
fuck off. Like, they're trying to make a mental breakdown sound hip.
Gross.
Go fuck yourself. Like,
Well, it's
you're making
like
it sound
abysmally
cool.
depressing. So like,
No, they're trying to
let's make it sound
normalize it
hip.
as being cool. That's horseshit. It's not
It's
good.
true.
Having a Minty B is bad, okay, kids?
It sounds like you're having a
Take
Minty
your
B
happy
right
pills.
now.
Oh my god.
I'm just like, his entire brain just shut down. He's like, oh god.
It's so stupid.
Boomer here's new Zoomer phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I saw
From
Fortnite in
another
person.
boomer. That's why it's out of place.
Well, before they feel their age, let's wrap this up before the
I was going to mention something
incredible-
about Dane Cook, but all right.
Yeah, the march of time continues beyond this pod. So we're going to wrap it up here before you throw out a reference that no one outside of this pod will get, probably.
Dash will
Dane
get it,
Cook?
but he doesn't listen this far.
The
I'll say-
Zoomers. Yeah.
Oh, I would say Dane Cook's making headlines like DiCaprio's making headlines for something very similar, is all I'm saying.
That is true. Yeah. But that's the end of the TechRaptor pod. We hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please feel free to leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on and share it with a friend. Share our wonderful Xenoblade spoilers with your friends because they don't deserve the pain of playing through the game. And without that, we will be back next week and we will see you then.